All right. Good evening, everybody who joins and enjoys the show this evening, and anybody else who watches the broadcast. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So, hey, how you doing there, Frank? Good to see you. Hope everybody enjoys. First thing you can see here is compared to some of my other Periscope broadcasts, I have altered my rig a little bit. Hey, so I've got a more vertical orientation, and I'm able to get the camera a little closer to the paper now. So hopefully that'll help as far as the details go. So I can kind of zoom in, zoom out, things like that. So hopefully, like I said, that'll make it a little easier for everybody's viewing. As you can see on the paper, I've got some rough, and from the title of the broadcast, I've got some rough pencils there. I'm going to be doing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle piece tonight on purple paper. So this afternoon, my daughter was watching TV. It was she's 4, and she saw the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and wanted to watch it for a little while. And I started thinking about the colors, and I realized I've been doing these pieces on colored paper, and I've got purple, red, orange, and blue, so why not do one of each of the turtles? So I'm going to be doing that, and I wanted to just show everybody real quick my inspiration. I've done a lot of turtle pieces over the years. I've been a big fan of theirs since, like, I don't know, 85, 86, I guess, probably about sixth grade or so. And I was fortunate enough to get this book. This is phenomenal. It's Kevin Eastman's autobiography. It's a hardcover book. And as you can see on the inside cover here we go. Last year I was able to get Kevin Eastman to sign it for me, which was awesome. But the reason I wanted to show it is because it does start at the very beginning of the Ninja Turtles, and I wanted to show you kind of my inspiration. Like, when I do the Ninja Turtles, my thought always goes back to those first, like, 4 issues, the black and white, where they're fighting the Foot Clan, fighting the Shredder. There's blood and carnage and all kinds of stuff. But this really depicts, like, this is my Turtles. That black and white, that style, kind of the shape of the face. I love the rendering, the real rough hand drawn background. Just really inspiring to me, for a couple guys who did it themselves. But this is when I think of turtles, these are my turtles. So I take that as my inspiration and apply that to how I tend to draw the Ninja Turtles. So let me see here. I'm going to get a different pen real quick because that pen was leaking all over. So I'm going to be starting out, again, as I usually do, with the thin lines. I prefer to do the Micron, the Pigment Micron 01 line. I like to start with a thin line and then build up the line so that I can then go larger lines, deeper from there, darker from there. But I usually like to start with the thin lines, and as always, you start with the eyes. The eyes are the windows to the soul, and kind of everything plays off of there. So I like to start with the eye. So I hope everybody is having a great weekend. What kind of colored paper are you working on? It is honestly just some colored paper, some colored cardstock that I got at Walmart. Let me grab some. It comes in a variety of kind of brighter colors. Let me see here. I don't know if I have the package. Ah, yeah, here we go. So it is, I'll show you. Here is the page that comes with it. It tells you. So it is Astro Brights cardstock. It's a 65-pound stock, and it comes in these colors. Now, I've subsequently gotten other packs, same stuff, with some different colors in it. There's some that comes with a lighter blue color. I did like an Archangel piece recently that had that, and some that instead of the fuchsia, it's more of a red color. I'll show you. This is the red that I'm going to be working with when I get to the Raphael piece. Tony, my man Doc Boy, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Glad you could make it. So that's the paper. So it's not the thickest stuff, but it works pretty well. It's no, it's no Bristol board, but it certainly works for, sketches, whether it be convention sketch or something like this. So, and last weekend I was at the Texas Comic-Con down in San Antonio, and I had a couple of these colored paper pieces. I had the Hulk one that I did here on Periscope. I did the Archangel one that I did. And then I also had a Captain America on blue paper as well. And all three of those sold pretty quickly. So I'll be doing the Amazing Houston show the beginning of next month over the holiday weekend. So I figured let's get some new ones done. Like I said, I thought it would be cool to have all four of the turtles, each one's on different paper. So for me, I like to have sort of that beak type nose, I guess, is what they were going for. Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah. The colored paper stuff is it's a lot of fun to do. I know I've seen a bunch of people doing Post-it notes, which are the same idea. Working on colored paper as the background, and then having to adjust whether you're using colored markers or, like in this case, I'm going to be using eventually gray markers to shade. But for me, I think the Post-it note size is so ridiculously small. And I also, just the availability for me of this paper, I already had it. So I thought I would go for it. But no, it is a lot of fun. It makes your brain work a little differently, which, as an artist, I like to try to do different things. If I just do the same methods, same stuff all the time, can get a little boring, and it's fun to try to challenge myself a little bit. So let's see, got the basic shape of the head coming down to the neck area. And as I said, I only have the most basic pencils done. I really didn't pencil this very tightly. I figured I would kind of from here go more straight to the inking stage. And then I'd be able to add in a lot with the gray shading that I'm planning on doing. And it's kind of amazing to me that after all these years and all the different iterations of the Ninja Turtles, that this franchise is still so strong. I mean, today I'll do, right, it's, 30 years? 20, 30, yeah, like 30 plus years since they created the concept, and I know I still get requests at conventions to draw the characters. It's incredible. So longevity, I guess. Those guys hit the lottery when they went with the Ninja Turtle route, and being a New Englander, a little bit of a point of pride. A couple of New England boys hanging out in their apartment, dreaming up how to get into the comic book business, and they come up with this. So pretty cool story. Has to be the most successful overall independent comic book creation ever made. I mean, between the movies, cartoons, toys, I mean, it's ridiculous. So hats off to Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird for creating something so cool that we can all still enjoy all these years later. Okay, so getting the arms in, the elbow pads there. Did you ever go to Kevin's Comic Art Museum when it was around? I did not. I heard about it and I did not get to go see it, which I wish I had. The guy he's amazing. He's got such cool stuff, and he was really nice last year. He was here in Austin at a show, and just super friendly and outgoing and time for everybody. And I can only imagine what his museum must have been like. So that's one that I missed. I did see, who was it? Gosh, anyway, there was another artist. I can't remember who the heck it was. I want to say it was maybe Bernie Wrightson had a museum show in the Houston area, I think last year maybe. My friend Carlos checked that out, and he said it was phenomenal, and it's cool to see, people recognizing this stuff as the art form and not just, the commercialism. Got the edge of the shell there, and I'm going to fit the belt. He's got this kind of big wide leather belt that they wear. And I guess one of the cool things about the Ninja Turtles as well is, like, it seems like everybody does a version, right? Everybody does their version of the Ninja Turtles, so you almost can't go wrong, right? Like, if you give them, the kind of cartoon belt with the initial on the buckle, then that's going to appeal to, to somebody. You do it more like the comic book. You do it like the newer cartoons, the movies, however you want to style them. Even if you just kind of go off on your own thing and do your own, there's been so many versions done that it's all legit, There's nothing where you go, well, geez, that's totally off model. I mean, Ninja Turtles never did that. I mean, there's been 800 million different versions of Ninja Turtles. So again, you can't go wrong no matter what you want to do. So, okay, I've got that arm in there. I've got the center line of the chest shell, kind of the undershell, and then they've got this part. Frawa 90, nice to see. Thank you for joining and watching some Ninja Turtles get drawn. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. If you guys think, if you enjoy it, please share the broadcast for the replay. I'll try putting it up on my I have a YouTube channel. I'll be putting it up on YouTube probably beginning of next week, and so please let folks know, because I really just enjoy the ability to come out and just draw and let people see what I'm doing. All right, got his bow staff in there. I never really thought much about it, but I get a lot of questions from artists, younger artists, whether it be at conventions or stuff like that, about how do I start, how do I do this, how do I do that. Sorry, I'm doing this hand over here, which was off camera. So let me turn a little bit here. There we go. So, and I always tell, you have a hand, use your hand. Hands are one of the toughest things to draw. But what I realized is I should have just told people to draw Ninja Turtles, because they've only got 2 fingers and a thumb, and it makes it a lot easier. Let's get that bow staff coming through his hand. This thumb here making the fist. So again, right now, just doing the real basic contours, getting the shapes and the outlines in, and then I'll be going back and adding the rendering, building up the line weights, and adding the shading. Okay, so these come down under there. We're not going to see that. And then we've got the shell. Let's do... So there's kind of this weird thing where their hips don't really exist. Their legs, the way they're drawn, the legs just sort of come out of the shell. So if I do the leg here, which is going to go in front of the back of the shell, that's going to, again, it's going to create some depth. So you've got the arm is in front of the leg, which is in front of the shell, and then you're creating 3 layers of depth just right there. So I want to do this thigh muscle here. So legs are kind of spread in a powerful fighting stance. Got here. We'll definitely have some muscles in there, but and then the other leg is coming out over here. And you've got this one, and we're going to see just the very top of that knee pad that they wear. And then the underside of the thigh over here. And again, some more muscles. And now I can go back because now I know where the edge of the shell is going to end up behind the leg, and I don't end up overdrawing that. And then the rest, the little shell pieces on his back. And then, of course, the final piece is the where his the ties from the bandana. And this is one of the cool things about the turtles, because obviously they all have the exact same costume. They have very basic elements to them. There's no, especially in the face, there's no hair, there's no jackets, there's no things playing. So this is where you can do a lot, and I'm going to do these like they're sort of streaming in the wind maybe a little bit. So I'm going to have them coming off here and then kind of wrapping back this way. So you can make these like crazy, ridiculous long and doing all sorts of stuff in the background with the wind and all that kind of jazz. I just thought it would be kind of cool to start them like they were going in one direction and then back against the grain, sort of, like I said, like a blowing backwards in the wind, sort of. And there we go. So we've got the basic contours there. And then from here, realistically, I could do anything I wanted because I haven't really established where my light source is. That's the next step, is I have to figure out, is the light source straight from above? Typically, I like to come in from a top angle, this side or this side. That creates a more dramatic light. There's also really dramatic, you can come from below, which works a lot. So if the light's coming from below, all the top is going to be shaded, all the bottom is going to be lighted. So certainly a more complex lighting. I think for this, I'm going to do something more along the lines of probably from top right across. And I say that because I think it would be pretty cool to see the lighter shading on the back of that shell. And, I can even use some of the white, the gel ink that I have to do white, highlights on that back of the shell would be really shiny. And I think that would be cool. And then have this coming across and being shaded sort of over here. The arm's going to cast a shadow this way, chest and everything here and to the legs. So I think it's going to be pretty dramatic effects if I come in across this way. So just real quick, I'm going to take my pencil. Again, this is just a basic 0.5 millimeter mechanical pencil. And I'm just going to real quick just kind of darken in where I think some of the shadows are going to be, just to give me a guide. And then from there, I can keep those shadows. I don't have to ink those shadows. I do whatever I want, but it just gives me an idea of which way to go with it to start with. And I can head in that direction if I want, like I said, or just wing it. So and what I'm doing here as well, when I talk about the shadows, I am going to come back in with grays. You may have seen these before with other artists, or if you've watched any of my broadcasts, I'm going to be using the Copic markers, and these are a variety of the gray in the warm gray tones, and then I also have a number of them in the cool gray tones. I've got more over on my table over here, and what I'm going to do is use both warm and cool gray to actually add some of the highlight, or the shading rather. So what I'm doing with this is I am doing what will be a hard, solid black. So that's going to be like a cast shadow. So if you're here and your hand, you can see my hand on the paper, right? That cast shadow underneath, I'm doing that as very dark, and then around it, I'm going to use the grays to soften those hard shadows. But I want some definite hard cast shadows from this light source. Again, it's going to make it a little more dramatic, add some dramatic lighting to it, and make the rest of both the purple that's left and all those tones that I add. Those are all going to be pop much more if I have some dark black shadows. So I'm gonna add those. Definitely have some up here. So again, thank you everybody for watching. Anybody that comes in late, anybody that's watching the replay. I'm gonna do this. This is the kind of Donatello typically has, like, I guess tape wrapped around the middle of his bow for the grip, I would assume. But again, thank you for joining and watching. And if you have any questions, let me know. Anything you want to talk about while we're drawing is cool with me. I see your questions as they pop up on the screen here, so do not be shy. If you're watching, and about this, if there's any other artists that do Periscope broadcasts that you watch, why don't you let me know? I'm always looking for inspiration. I'm looking for tricks and techniques and stuff, so I watch as many of those as I can. So be definitely interested to find out who you are watching. If there's anybody exciting out there that maybe I'm not aware of right now. Okay. Todd Knock is great to watch. Todd Knock, yes. Todd Knock is actually the guy who got me into Periscope. I followed him on Twitter, and I subscribed to his YouTube channel so that I could, watch him do his videos. In fact, I actually contacted him about how he did his YouTube videos. If you haven't seen it, he'll take a project like this and he'll start working on it, and he records the whole thing. And then what he does is he speeds it up. He goes into the film or the video, and he edits it with, I don't know, some sort of editing software. He told me, but it's Mac software, and I don't have an iPhone or a Mac of any kind, so I don't know. But he speeds it up. So you take a drawing that maybe took him a half an hour or 45 minutes to draw, and you can watch him draw it in 15 to 20. He'll speed up the time in half, and it's so cool to just see all those techniques. And he talks about, just like I do, about the markers that he likes to use, the pens he wants to use, and he does, and he answers folks' questions about what shows he's going to be doing and what work does he do, who are his favorite superheroes, all that kind of stuff. Todd Knock is awesome. So I agree with you, Frank. I watch all of his stuff. He's a super cool guy too. I got to meet him one time at a show in Dallas. In fact, let me show you while we're all here and having fun. I'll show you the sketch, the Spider-Man sketch that he did. I have a sketchbook, a Spider-Man themed sketchbook, which is I give to an artist and I tell them they can do any character they want in the Spider-Man universe. Villain, hero, could be anybody. So when I met Todd, he decided he was going to do the Sandman. So he did this Sandman sketch for me in my Spider-Man sketchbook. So me too. I usually try to see him when he's at New York Comic Con. No doubt. He's so awesome. He's so friendly, and his wife is with him in a lot of big shows, and she is so cool. And this is another one. This is Rick Leonardi doing Spider-Man 2099 for me, and he was such a cool guy. I asked him to do it, and he's like, "Well, you can pick." And I was like, "Well, I have to have Rick Leonardi do Spider-Man 2099, And he finished it up, and I go, "Great. Well, how much do I owe you?" And he looks at me and goes, "You can buy me a beer if you see me later." And I was like, "All right, sounds good to me. That was a fair deal." And he did it. It was so fast. He's so cool. But yeah, it's been a while. I haven't gotten anybody for quite some time. But this is the one that started it all off. This is Mark Teixeira from Ghost Rider and Sabretooth for Marvel. He started off with this awesome Spidey sketch. And let's see. What else have I got? I literally was hanging out, drinking beers with a bunch of guys, including I did Will's Portaccio. No, I do not have. I have a Will's Portaccio sketch. It's of Bishop. I do not have a Will's Portaccio Spider-Man sketch. But this is Chuck Dixon. We're hanging out, and Chuck Dixon, Billy Tucci, myself, were just hanging out after a show, drinking beers one time, and Billy gave him the sketchbook and went, "Here, draw something." And he started drawing Batman, and Billy goes, "Chuck, it's a Spider-Man book." And so he wrote, "I hate Spider-Man." So I thought that was pretty good. And then, let's see, what else have I got? This is Michael Golden. For anybody who knows old school, Michael Golden, his old school Marvel artist, and I mean, that is just crazy crisp and just awesome, just so awesome. This is Billy Tucci, Gwen Stacy that he did for me, which I like a lot. Mike McCone, who did Exiles. What else has Mike McCone done? Teen Titans, stuff like that. Also a very nice guy. Mike McCone, I believe he is, I'm going to say, probably wrong, I'm going to say British. He's probably Scottish or Irish, but I thought he was British. But again, super nice guy. And that's kind of the highlights. This is one of the last ones that I actually did get. This is Art Thibert. RT Bear inker extraordinaire for both Jim Lee, Wills Portacio. He's worked for other Image books, Rob Liefeld, Marvel, DC, you name it. But some of my Spider-Man sketches that I have. So little sidetrack. Hope you enjoyed those. At some point, I kind of threatened that I might do it at some point. I will. I'll take everybody on a tour of the room that I'm working in here. Sometimes it's referred to as my man room, sometimes my studio room. And I'll show you all the original artwork that I've gotten from folks over the years. So, yeah, and RT Bear is such a, he's, again, there's only, I've only really met one person ever that I was like, man, this guy is just not a good human being. That's a story for another time. But all the artists and stuff that I typically have come across have been awesome. RT Bear, spent hours just talking to us about the old Image days and telling stories, and just a really, really cool guy. Signs everything. I brought him a bunch of old X-Men stuff, and happy to do it, and just really cool. So, all right, I'm just kind of getting in those shapes. I'm gonna do the taped up stuff here. Drop in that shadow in the fingers. Again, so what I'm doing is just blocking out where I want the real heavy black shadows to go. And then after I put that all in, I will come in and with some hatching and sort of feather it out a little bit. Probably after I put in the gray tones, so that if I use, some real small, little hatching, I don't have to worry about it being smeared or smudged or anything like that. Same thing, I'm going to put in the wood grain in the bow at the top and bottom, but I'm going to wait until after I do any of the marker work, so that way I don't have to worry about it. So here's the majority of the shadows. And again, the beauty is that as I'm going through and shading stuff, I can just sort of, wing it. If I find a spot that I missed, go, oh, I really want a shadow there. Oh, I want a hard shadow there, and go for it. But at least I've got some of it blocked out ahead of time. So, all right, let's go with, actually, I was going to go with one of the big boys, the Faber-Castell Pip Pens, the real big brush. You can see the brush tip, it's the real wide, big brush tip. But to be honest, none of these areas are really quite that big. So I think I'm going to come in with one of the smaller brush pens and start filling that in. Because the worst thing to do for me is to spend all this time blocking in areas and that sort of stuff, and then make a mistake and go, because I'm using too large of a tool at the time. So I'd rather just take my time and get it exactly the way I want it. Because unlike white paper, I can't apply a little purple whiteout here to fix mistakes. So if ink gets down on the purple paper, ink is down on the purple paper. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the way it goes. So there's that. Let's see. So what else shall we talk about? Let's see. Happy accidents. Yeah. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you're kind of going along, and especially being a lefty, man, you're going along and all of a sudden you go, neat. And something that was on your hand that you didn't even know was on your hand is now on the paper, and you've got to come up with a creative solution. And it's one of the struggles, but like you said, sometimes it'll pay off for you more than you think. So let's see here. So Frank, you said that you go see Todd Knock when he's at the New York Comic Cons. That must mean you are relatively close by in the New York area, I take it, right? So I'm going to be heading up to my friend Tony's neck of the woods here next month, about the middle of the month, for the second annual Vermont Comic Con. I work on Manhattan. Yeah, awesome. I worked. I used to work in Manhattan sometimes. I had a job. I lived in Connecticut, and I used to head into Midtown. I used to spend a lot of time. I had to work with the Roosevelt Hotel downtown, and the best part about it was I want to say maybe 2 blocks from Midtown Comics. So it was pretty close to again, a block or 2 from Grand Central. So I would come into the train station, ride the train in, do my job, do my work, and before I left for the day, I would go to Midtown. I'd buy a couple of, sometimes a couple of issues, but most of the time I'd be looking for some sort of graphic novel, something, trade paperback that I didn't have, because I was gonna need about an hour's worth of reading on the train, and then I would read it on the way back home on the train. And man, Midtown Comics was just the best store. I miss that. Being down here in Texas now, I'm back to kind of the mom and pop strip mall, brick and mortar comic stores if I want to go to one, and there isn't one within 45 minutes of me. Certainly not one that's any good within 45 minutes of me. So I do not get to the comic book store as much as I used to. And Midtown was phenomenal. Love that place. So I went from the brush tip, where again, I'm not trying to push it and get exact, because now I'm coming in with the next size down, which is the dial M for medium, and getting in some more of the tighter spots as far as where I want the shadows to be. So yeah, I'm very excited mid-September to be at the second annual Vermont Comic Con. I cannot wait. I'm going to have some new artwork ready. I'm going to have some new prints ready to show folks. I'm going to have a comic book. Actually, I'm going to have a couple of comic books that I have done for various publishers. I'm going to have copies of those available, and it's just going to be an awesome time. So I'm very much looking forward to it. The only thing that would make it better is if it was a 3-day show and not a 2-day show. It's a Saturday, Sunday. It would be even better if it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But I figure if it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that gives me an extra day to visit with friends and family while we're there, and show my daughter all the things that we tell her about, where mommy and daddy grew up. And she looks at us like, what? Especially in the wintertime. So my daughter was born here in Texas, and the only other place that she's really traveled to is North Carolina. So she has an understanding or a concept of what snow is, but no real life experience with snow. So she's very excited. You know, I know we're not going to see any in September, but we tell her all these things. Well, I mean, just am I allowed to sit? Am I allowed to just sit and watch you for the con? You know what? I'm going to be there, and I will most likely be rocking it solo all by myself. And so I'll have probably an extra chair at the table. So if you come by, Tony, you can come on my side of the table with me and sit down and hang out for a while and see how it is and see what it's all about. How's that sound? Yeah. It's awesome. I since I've started going to conventions as an artist, so back in 2000, well, let me think. It was about the time I moved down here. So probably around 2006, going to Dallas and Chicago. So for the past 9 years, I haven't been to a convention as a guest, not a guest, but in a paying attendee, basically. Since then, so the idea of you mean I can't just sit down at a table and hang out, and I got to walk around all day, and just seems weird to me. So maybe one of these days, if there's a show close by that I'm not going to go to, maybe I'll just head in, observe a little bit for old time's sake. It's definitely, not going to lie to you, it's definitely a lot better on the other side of the table. A lot better on the artist side of the table. For one, we get to get in whenever we want, which is awesome. So we get to, you can come in the morning, get your badge, hang out. So if there's if there's another artist you want to talk to, if there's a celebrity there you want to get an autograph from, you kind of get first dibs sometimes, unless there's a VIP thing, because you see as soon as they come in the building. So you just kind of get there early, hang out, and get over in front of their table or booth before the rest of the public even gets to get in. So that's a pretty sweet gig. The perks. So you can see it's starting to come together. We're starting to see the idea of where the cast shadows would be. So, the mask, the little beak there is casting a shadow underneath. His arm is casting a shadow along his chest. This arm and the bow are going to cast shadows on the legs. The elbow and the pad is on the arm. This muscle, because it'd be a big, bulging muscle, is casting under. And then the arm itself, again, is casting a shadow. The fingers, because they're bent, this side's away from the light. So again, just kind of giving an emphasis of where the light is. All this side is staying real light. This side is staying more dark. So we're getting there, and it's kind of starting to take some shape, giving some dimension to it, and then hopefully, if everything goes as I envision it, the gray shading is going to add that other dimension of the other dimension, the other dimension of depth. That's where I'm going with this. Because it won't go from just the purple, which is acting as basically the lightest color, to black. You'll have all the variation in between. So that's what I'm shooting for. And then, like I said, we'll come in with I'll come in with the markers, do the shading. From there, after that comes in, I'll be adding a lot of rendering. There's a lot of, I still like to do a lot of kind of old school cross hatching, especially when I'm drawing the Ninja Turtles, because it fits with that original style of how the original comic book was done. So there's a lot of like texturing where it comes to like these plates, the shell. You know, I'll do a lot on the wood, that sort of stuff. So I'll be adding all of that afterwards. So to be honest, this will most likely be a multi-broadcast, meaning we'll get probably most of these base inks done tonight, and then wrap it up, and then finish it up in the next couple days in another broadcast. Because like a 2-hour broadcast is a really long time. And then I'm definitely going to, looking at it now, I'm definitely going to want shading on the under part of this and the far side of this hand over here. Right, if the light's coming this way, this back part of the hand here is all going to be in shadow. So definitely be adding some of that. So I told you there are times when I would just go off the map and just shade wherever my fancy took me, and I can see that hand is going to need some shading, so I'll be doing that. I'll be thickening up. It's kind of as I did over here, just to kind of get a feel of what it was going to look like. I'll be thickening up the outline, especially again on the undersides. Anywhere where there is a heavier shadow, that outline is going to be a little darker. Eventually come in, you know, when everything is said and done, I'll come in with the white highlights, add some border, add some really white highlights, you know, do the eyes, the teeth, highlights on the skin and the shell, back of the arms where the light might be a little, you know, where it's a little more shiny of a texture, and do some of that as well. So let's see, 18. So we're going to go for about another 10 or so minutes, kind of, like I said, wrap up this the heavy shading, and then we'll come back for the final finish. Gotta run, buddy. Draw fast, draw well. Thanks, Frank. Appreciate it. Thank you for checking it out this long. Like I said, I'm going to be wrapping it up pretty quick. Look for part 2 in the next couple days. We'll see, hopefully maybe tomorrow. Got some stuff going on during the afternoon, but maybe tomorrow night. We'll see. Sweet. Yeah, thank you. Like I said, if you can't make it live, the recording is up for 24 hours. And as well, I've got the ability to upload it to YouTube. So check out, if you haven't already, check out my YouTube channel. Obviously, there's only a couple of videos on it so far, which are my other Periscope broadcasts. But with each one of these that I'll do, you know, later in the week, I will go ahead and upload those to YouTube. And then that way they're there for, you know, people can rewatch it more than just after one day. Kignu joined. Kignu, thank you for joining and checking it out and seeing what we're working on tonight. This is a live drawing of Donatello from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on purple paper. So we are coming up to where I've got all of the, just about all of the real heavy black shadowing that I want to do. Hey, from France, I love turtle. Haha. Hey, cool, from France. That's sweet. Thank you for joining. Pretty good English from France too. I hope you understand what I'm rambling on about. But thank you very much for checking this out. I really appreciate it. That's so cool. You may be my first international viewer, so thank you so much. That's awesome. Like I said, right now, just putting in the really dark black shadows. I know it's not the most exciting thing to watch for sure, but it all makes it come together in the end. I speak a very little English, sorry. No problem. That's okay. Just sit back and enjoy. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I don't really speak French per se, but between your little bit of English and maybe my little bit of French, maybe we'll be able to figure it out. Or just enjoy the show. Here we go. Alrighty. So I hope that folks that this is definitely for, again, anybody who watches this on the replay or is watching it live and has seen any of my other periscopes. I hope the image orientation is a little better. Vraiment bien. Let's see. I know 2 is you. 2 bien. Bien is good. So it's you use something good, I think. Thank you. I think that was good. So yeah, so being able to turn my phone, get it set up that way, and change the orientation, get a little bit closer to the work. I hope that's helped. That's made it more enjoyable for everybody. So let's see. So getting pretty close with these shadows. All right, I got a few more minutes. I am going to now go through and erase the pencil lines, and I'll show you what I like. For me, is a kneaded eraser. And this is one you can tell has had some good work. You just kind of like a piece of clay, you mold it up a little bit, and then it's a lighter way to erase without really digging into the paper or pulling up any of the ink. And I just like these a lot more than some of the harder erasers, the big white plastic erasers. Certainly never ever use a colored eraser, like your kid has for school in the back of their pencil. Those will leave color marks sometimes, depending on the material you're drawing on. So you don't want to do that. Get through the whole thing and you're like, this is awesome. Now I just got to clean it up and put a big green streak through it or something like that. So, okay. So there is the dark shadows, the basic contours. Oops. At this point, let me do. I said I wanted to add shadows to. Let me turn a little bit here. This bottom hand down here, I want to add some shadow. It's a long time. Do you draw? So I think what you're asking is, how long have I been drawing? I have been drawing since I was a little boy. I've been drawing since I was a child. I always wanted to be an artist, and so ever since I was very, very young. I hope that's what you were asking. But yeah, I've been drawing for a long, long, long time. And now I'm 41 years old, and finally getting sort of where I want to be. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. I appreciate it. The art is a never-ending process. You can learn your whole life. You can practice your whole life. And it's one of the things that makes it so wonderful is there's always something new to learn. There's a new thought process, a new technique, a new material to try, something. And you can always come up with a new way to do things. So it never ends. So this is where, like I said, it is as far as the hard black shadows. The next step would be to use the Copic markers for the shading. And I've got warm colors and cool colors. And the warm colors translate to things that are like, in this case, are kind of a yellow or an orange, like the chest pieces, brown like the belt, brown like the pads, brown like the staff and the tape. And then the cool grays I will use for his skin and parts of the shell. So I guess normally I was considering stopping, but I can keep going, I guess. I love color, yes. So this is going to be gray on color, but work like color. So I think, at least for a few minutes, I'm going to just keep going with it because I'm kind of in the mood. So let's go for it. So I'm going to start with the warm gray 1. Where is it? Copic warm gray 1. One of my most popular gray colors. And I'm going to start adding it to, like I said, everywhere that works like a gray color. Now, I know it looks like a cool purple. I am hoping that when it dries, you'll see what it is. I'm going to leave a few little areas for highlights. And then here's down here. And then we'll do the same thing. So wherever I want to look where like there might be some light hitting it, reflection, something like that, I actually will go ahead and just leave it white. Because the purple of the paper is going to be my lightest tone. So like here, the light's coming down. Does a professional you often draws? Yes, I try to draw every day. I do 5 to 6 conventions, shows, comic book conventions every year. But honestly, I try to draw at home every day if I can. Sometimes that's just a doodle practice, something just working through ideas. And then sometimes it's much more of a fully realized image like this one. But typically, I try to draw, if I can, and I'm a dad, so it's not always easy, but I try to draw every day. So you can see back up in here in this area where it's dried out, it's a very, very light tone, which is fine because this is going to be the first layer of this. So this is how this is working out. And, you know, we'll see. This is an experiment. I wasn't sure how the gray tones were going to work on this purple paper, but, you know, what the heck. That. Get the staff. And yeah, get that part. I think the key where it's all going to come together, crossing my fingers, is when we start adding more of these layers. So this is W3. So again, so I went from W1 to W3. So this is a darker tone of warm gray. I'm gonna start to working off the shadows. So I'm making it darker the closer I am to the shadow areas. And then that, again, helps to emphasize where the light is. It makes the lighter areas look even that much lighter. And adds some dimension to the figure, hopefully. That. Cut it down there. This is going to be this side. And then the next one, so we go from warm 3 to warm 5. And I'm bringing even, making even the shadows even darker. And so now I'm really focusing on where the black areas are, where those cast shadows are. Areas that I really want to be maybe a little darker than other parts. All right. last one, warm 7, so going all the way to sort of a really dark, almost brownish gray color. Just building layers. And then coming back at the very end with the warm 1, the very first one I started with, and blending it all back in together. So this will make it a little bit smoother. What is my job? I have a regular job. I work during the day for the phone company, actually, or telecommunications. And then this is a kind of side job, or it's a hobby, but I'll be honest, I do get paid to do this. So it's not my regular job, but it is a job. So my regular job is, as I said, working for the phone company. Okay, so from there, I've got the warm colors, and you can see the grays and how that's starting to build up. And now, hopefully, you can imagine what it's going to be like when I add the cool grays, which again work more like a blue color to the skin tone. But I think I am going to stop here and call it a night. It is about 10:37 p.m. here in Texas, and I'm going to pick this up again, hopefully pick it up tomorrow, maybe tomorrow evening, and continue with the rest of the color. I'll be adding in the texture, the rendering, kind of a background design, and adding the highlights. So again, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for the folks who live viewed. I really appreciate all of you. Have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and look for part 2. I will be announcing it on my Facebook page and on Twitter. And if you look for my YouTube channel, it's just Jerry Rasco on YouTube. I will post these videos to YouTube as well. So thank you all very much, and have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.